Good morning, kids. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios of turning kids' TV characters into SCPs. Now let's see just who he turns into a new monster.
Around this time last year, I took famous kids' TV characters and turned them into fantasy beasts. And I really wanted to try something like that again, but exploring it through a different one of the series that I regularly do on here. Hence today, taking characters from things like Sesame Street and Winnie the Pooh and turning them into SCPs.
Oh,
let's go.
That's gonna be
Hit
interesting.
like if you want.
Hold on a moment. And we're back.
Subscribe
If you feel like it.
But
By
either
the way, enjoy the show.
Before I
What up,
begin
Doc?
with today's lecture, I would like to inform you all that I have put in an official request for us to cease using arbitrary subcategories for SCPs, such as SCP-P, SCP-D, and so on, as I feel that we will promptly be running out of alphabetical options, and the distinctions between these groups often seem rather non-existent. With that said, today I've been asked to educate you all on SCPs that fall into the already existing subcategory of SCP-K. How do these differ from SCP-P entities, or even regular classification SCPs? Your
Explain it,
guess
Doc.
is as good as mine.
Okay,
Anyhow,
never
we will
mind.
start today with item number SCP-K405. Object class, safe. Special containment
I
procedures.
hope so.
K405 is to be housed in a standard containment cell. It is to be fed 1 can of malt extract every second day and a steak once every 2 weeks. Personnel are only
malt
to enter
extract?
containment while wearing a full protection
that?
bite suit to protect themselves from the entity's teeth. Description: SCP-K405 is a 3-foot-tall bipedal tiger. It was found in Ashdown Forest in Sussex, England, along with a handful of other entities that similarly resemble real-world animals, but have odd distinctions in anatomy and biology. Upon taking blood, tissue samples, and X-rays, it was discovered that K405's muscles are constructed from a substance that is near identical in molecular structure to rubber. Additionally,
Oh.
the lengthy tail that sprouts from its bottom
Because tickles
appears to
like
be
to
made up
bounce.
of a spiraling bone that acts near identically to a spring. Instead of walking, it will often bounce around on its tail as though it were a child's pogo stick. Other creatures found in close
Honestly, he
proximity
was my
to
favorite
this
out of that
one
show.
included kangaroos and a rabbit.
Yeah, that's right. And I like the tiger more than I like the Pooh Bear. He was number 1 on my list.
Both more traditionally
Friends
associated
list.
with leaping
Crying out
and
loud,
bouncing,
people.
and yet this tiger-like creature is far more agile, and in full spring of its tail, has proven able to leap 22 feet into the air. When initially discovered, this creature was mischievous and overly energetic. It also seemed able to process what the field operatives were saying to it, but lacked intelligence in many other regards. When our ops began capturing the
he
entities
wasn't
of this woods,
Met
K405 climbed to the top of a tree and was then unable to get itself back down. Its abundance of energy has not changed since being brought into containment, but now the entity has become more irritable and hostile. I have proposed it be transferred to an area such as the Ruby Sector biome, where it can roam freely in a somewhat natural setting, but the request is still pending. We have found that it can be entertained for a significant amount of time by being given items such as a balloon or other childlike distractions, but eventually it will
Nice.
get bored of these and once more become irritated by the confines of its cell.
Yep,
Even
there
if it
you go.
had not began acting more erratically, however, I for
he's
one am
hypo.
glad that we have found no evidence of other entities of this creature's same species, as they are both too anomalous to be allowed to remain out in the wild, and yet not dangerous enough to justify utilizing abundant Foundation resources in containing more of them. Luckily, it does seem that K405 is indeed the only one.
Well, not bad. Starting it off with one of the best characters from Pooh Bear, we now will move on to...
The next entity we will
Eugene
discuss is
Krabs?
another that was found in close proximity.
No, hold on. Eugene Krabs, the money-hungry owner of the Krusty Krab. You know what? I'm not gonna say a damn thing. I want to see what you do with him.
To other anomalous creatures, though in this case, These were found in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. Item number SCP-K704. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. K704 is contained in a 2-tiered cell with an elevated platform covered in sand and a lower level submerged in water. Its cell is to contain within it $3,000 worth of American currency made up of $1 bills, and personnel are permitted to
Of course he has to have money in the damn cell.
provide it with more currency when it follows orders directly or acts in an otherwise exceptionally cooperative way. It is also to be fed
Act
a
good,
diet
get
of predominantly plankton and chum. Description: K704 is a quadrupedal crab entity that stands at roughly 4 feet tall. It has a largely red shell with a blue segment on its
Oh, and it even friggin' Wells pets. Come on.
torso and a set of green eyes on stalks stemming from the upper front of its head. It is also clad in a pair of 4-legged pants, and it is currently recorded in our documents that it was found wearing these pants. But, given it was brought into custody,
I'm sorry, but imagine that. You're just like doing your own business, walking along the beach, you meet a 4-foot-tall crab in freaking pants, and it's trying to sell you a goddamn hamburger. Oh my god. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Someone, like, freaking animate that so we can all have a laugh.
by a team that included Dr. Jack Bright, whose unprofessional attitude does not evoke a sense of trust, I am skeptical to believe this so-called fact. I believe Dr. Bright provided this entity with a pair of pants as some ill-conceived attempt at humor. Anyhow, this creature was found in the waters near the Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. This region was once subjected to regular nuclear tests, which could explain the emergence of unusual sea life. Between 1946 and 1958, the US government detonated 67 nuclear weapons on these islands. The human natives of this region were forced to leave due to the radiation now rampant in the region, but this seems to have no negative effects on K704 or the other entities found in close proximity to it. Other than its anomalous biology, the strangest thing about this entity seems to be its obsession with money. During its first week on site, the entity assaulted a doctor who entered its containment, and in their flight they dropped their wallet. The entity was then seen pulling all the dollar bills out of the wallet and hoarding them in the corner of its cell. Curious to see if the creature could be reasoned with to be more cooperative, that same doctor attempted to train K704 like a dog, holding more money before it, but making requests such as sit or lie down for the entity to follow in order to receive the money.
And he did it, didn't he?
The entity showed a high degree of understanding and was quickly doing whatever the doctor asked, so long as it was then given money for doing so. Of course, Dr. Bright got further involved upon hearing the strange quirk of this entity, and so these trials were taken further and further until they even placed K704 into a controlled setting with a sperm whale and instructed the entity to treat the whale as if the creature was its own daughter.
Okay, now
it's certain what Dr. Bright expected that to look like, but the entity did thereafter show great affection for the whale and made efforts to protect it when a field operative dove into the water carrying a harpoon. He is now apparently attempting to teach the entity how to prepare food, and with the assurance of monetary compensation, K704 is proving incredibly proficient at making hamburgers, and has even managed to make what Dr. Bright calls one of the best food items he has ever consumed. Though, again, we are taking some of this on Dr. Bright's word, which means very little.
This isn't an SCP, it's a freaking joke! Oh my god! From the pants to the money to the freaking whale and hamburger!
The next entity is a breath of fresh air in terms of SCPs we contain as...
yes, no, I can't really do a Comet the Frog voice. Comet the Frog, Hill. Nope, that is not it. God, I would need to practice.
Thus far, it has proven to be purely benevolent and exclusively makes the site it is contained within a better place. Item number SCP-K201. Object Class: Safe. Special
Oh, and you're giving him a fucking banjo! God bless it!
Containment Procedures. K201 is allowed to roam freely about Site-88, where it is currently held. It has a containment cell where it sleeps, adorned with swamp-like foliage to help keep the entity more comfortable. It is
How
to
about
be
you, Being
sustained on a
Green?
diet
Nope,
of
that ain't
worms,
it.
flies, and other insects, mixed into a salad with vinaigrette dressing.
Vinaigrette.
Description. K201 is a 2-foot-tall humanoid frog with slimy green flesh. It also has a mane of yellow hair around the base of its neck.
Would you really
Like
call
the
that
previously
yellow?
mentioned entities, this
Eh.
one seems to be entirely unique, one of a kind, though claiming to have spawned from a common family of frogs. As you may suspect from that statement, this entity has a full grasp of the English language. But on top of that, the
I come
entity
from
is
a
also
family
a
of
skilled
frogs, he
singer
says.
and musician. It was found in the swamps near Leyland, Mississippi in the United States, and was discovered because of the pleasant melody it was playing on a banjo and singing while perched on a felled tree. When found, the entity was
Love
calmly
it.
explained to why a creature such as it could cause unease and panic if discovered by common civilian populace, and, while it professed to not fully agree with the Foundation's analysis of the potential risks, he agreed to come into Foundation custody all the same. Upon doing
Yeah,
so,
he's
he was
very
provided
chill.
with regular meals and even given a new banjo.
Okay, first of all, the purple eyes is a little unsettling. I am going to put in a request for you to go back to giving him just solid white eyes, like the Muppet version.
As the one he'd played prior was a broken and withered one that had been left in the swamp by an inebriated musician. K201 has proven able to
a
play a
drunkard.
variety of songs, both original and covers, and while his voice does have an odd, warbly tone, it is also generally regarded by most employees of Site-88 to be very pleasant to listen to. Other
Oh yeah, it is
facts
very
we have
nice.
learned about this entity are that he is left-handed while playing the banjo, though has proven to be fairly ambidextrous. He also has an unusual physical attraction to pigs, and claims to have a romantic partner somewhere that is a humanoid pig creature. While the entity has never proven
let
to
him do
lie to
it.
Foundation personnel, some consider this to be the equivalent of an embarrassed high schooler claiming to have a girlfriend that his friends would not have met as she lives in Canada. Still, we have some personnel looking further into this, as if this entity does exist, it should not only be brought into Foundation custody, but it would be a
Oh,
nice
boy.
gesture to K201 to reunite him with his lost love.
Hey, Comet, we got
I'll
Miss Piggy.
Admit, I wish we had more entities with similarly
It's a pig in a
wholesome
frickin'
stories of their
dress.
containment. But if we all wanted an easy profession, we would not have taken the positions that we currently have, would we?
Oh my god. All this laughing is actually taking it out of me. You know what? The purple actually isn't too bad with the background. Okay, who's next?
The final
Oscar! Hold on, folks. Be right back. And we're back to Oscar.
entity we will discuss today is one of the original entities classified under the SCP-K subcategory when they were discovered in November of 1969. Though this information
long
does
arms.
not add any clarification as to why the subcategory was made in the first place.
Kids
Item number
cartoons. Easy.
SCP-K102. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. K102 is to be housed in a containment cell in Site-28 that is to be perpetually filled with trash and several garbage cans. The garbage inside its
that's
cell is
okay.
to be cycled out with new garbage to entertain the entity and ensure it does not attempt to breach containment. Personnel who
Oh.
converse with this entity for a period
You don't know. He actually does seem like the kind of guy. And they'll be like, I don't like this trash. I'm going to get my own. And then he just hops towards the door and somehow like breaks it down with one fist.
of 15 minutes or longer are required to go through a psych evaluation afterwards to ensure they are not considering harming themselves or others as a result of the interaction.
Damn, he's that bad?
Description. K102 is a 3-foot 2-inch tall humanoid creature with matted green fur. It lives inside of a trash can and is obsessed with hoarding and consuming garbage of any variety. The entity is able to speak fluent English, but talking to this entity has detrimental effects on the mental health of the person conversing with it if the interaction goes for too long. You see, this creature has a very bleak outlook on life and the world and really everything.
Yeah, he hates everyone.
On top of that, while this has not yet been proven, we strongly believe that this creature has some form of psychic ability to deteriorate any positivity in those it interacts with when in the presence of another being for long enough. Even just 5 minutes in conversation with this entity has left both D-class personnel and high-ranking doctors alike with elevated levels of anxiety and depression.
Oh,
This
come
creature was
on.
found in the late 60s, hiding in a garbage can in Manhattan, New York, near the address 123 Sesame Street. That address also proved to house a number of other anomalous entities that were then brought into containment, though K102 proved to be the most cruel and dangerous. Along with its ability to degenerate the mental health of those it converses with, the entity has
I guess
proven
that would've
able
been
to
last year's
teleport when
episode.
unobserved from the trash can it resides in to another one nearby, completely bypassing all Foundation security. Thankfully, the only
I
times
could see him hopping just by simply closing the lid while he's inside, and he pops out the new one wearing the new lid. It's like he goes under, pop, like a whack-a-mole.
that has done so has been when the trash in its cell was not cycled out soon enough and it grew bored of its surroundings. As a secondary measure to keep it contained, we have placed other trash cans inside its containment as well, as it does not appear to have control over what trash can it transports itself into next, meaning if it does attempt to do this again in the future, it will likely just jump into another can within its own cell. Despite how grating conversations with this entity can be, we have managed to get some information out of it, though we have yet to verify much of it as true. Given its proclivity to cause depression, it may very well be lying to our personnel in order to confuse and frustrate them, but the entity does claim to be a member of a full family of others like it, though it claims the others in its family are colored orange or purple, and that its own greenish hue came about after visiting a marshland and becoming coated in green slime and mold. I personally see this as entirely unlikely, but it has also not been worth the effort to disprove. With all that said, I will end my lecture here for today. This discussion has been recorded and will be put on record along with my previous lectures for any who wish to revisit them. Thank you, and good night.
Alright, and I gotta say, this was a good one, and I got a great laugh out of Eugene Krabs. But Oscar is definitely taking second for this episode.
If you enjoyed this, I recommend checking out my Pokemon as SCPs series,
and I can't
or maybe
remember
my
who
Digimon
was
SCPs
so
episodes.
they'll take
I've got a ton of episodes of turning things into SCPs, very similar format to this episode. I'll link the whole playlist. Also, I'd love more suggestions for other kids' TV characters or...
Tiggle, right. And well, sorry man, I mean I love you, but you're gonna have to take fourth.
Simple, cartoony characters that you'd like to see fleshed out in a way like this, whether as SCPs or fantasy beasts or whatever. I love doing these kinds of videos, so give me your suggestions in the comments.
This was
also,
nice.
all the high-resolution art and inks from this episode are up on the Popcross Studios Patreon now, where patrons always get access to high-resolution art and inks a day before a video is released. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note. And the thought I want to leave people with today is a quote from Carl Jung, who said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." And I was trying to think of an elaboration for that, but I think it kind of sits on its own just fine. So I hope that's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Friday. Goodbye.
Well, folks, that's going to end today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.